folks, as I've told you in the past, I've been on that there TalkSport a few times in the past. I don't know if it's that I like to talk or like to hear the sound of my own voice. I don't think it's either, really. But sometimes I'm listening to things and I think what they're talking is a crock. And I'm thinking, no, I'm getting involved in this or I'm going to tell them how I feel. Maybe I do like hearing the sound of my own voice, I don't know. So to that end, I was thinking this morning I was going to ring in on the Jim and Simon show regarding the Spurs United final, United Spurs final, however you want to flip it. Because they were talking a lot. Much of it spot on, but there was a bit of drivel there, and I thought, shall I ring? I thought, no, I'll do it on here. I'll have more time and I can air what my thoughts are. Not as many going to hear it on here, probably in the 10s or 20s rather than the 100s. But I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to do 3 videos on the back of last night's game, just because I've got a lot to say. I'm going to do something on the game, my thoughts on Spurs, and then my thoughts on United after the dust has settled and going into next year. And those that watch any of the videos, let me know if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if I'm backing up the wrong tree, just tell me. That's what the comment section's for. Last night's final, as I said to you, I went out with a young lad. We went to a localish boozer. It's a boozer I've wanted to try for a good while since I've moved. Never been in there before. It's an old man's boozer. Suits me down to the ground. Although the ale wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Anyway, that's by the by. Went in there, didn't even know if they'd have the football on because there was nothing advertising TNT Sports, Sky Sports, none of that. I said to the lad, they might not have it on in here, we might have to drive around. But they did. Bundles of tellies, crackerjack of a view, really loud commentary. I like that. Not because I'm deaf, but I like hearing what they say, and even if I don't agree with it, and even if I think it's tosh, I think it adds to a game to hear a commentary. I don't like going in these bars where there's music on and all you can see is the pictures. That's just me. But I'm watching the game last night. Before the game starts, I'll give you a few thoughts before the game, a few thoughts after the game, and during the game. The lad said before the game starts, for us to win tonight, Dad, I think Bruno's going to have a cracker. Well, firstly, Bruno did not have a cracker, and secondly, we didn't win the game. So he may have had a point. I don't know. At the end of the game now, I'm hearing things that really, really rile me. I don't like. I mean, one of the things I heard, and it probably came from the best place, but Luke Shaw having an interview doesn't sit well. Luke doesn't come across as the cleverest soul in the world. His interview was probably pretty much to the point and pretty honest, but I'm not sure it was that wise. And I'm not sure Luke should have been given an interview. I'll tell you more about that when I go through the match in a moment, the reason for that, in my eyes anyway. And then obviously there's this furore now surrounding Garnacho. He's doing posts, is it posts or tweets or whatever they had before the game, because he realises he's not playing. His brother's putting things on social media as well. And then Garnacho's putting more things on after the game. And I'm thinking, here we go again. It's all about me. He's learnt from the school of Rashford. He's worshipped at his feet. And he's now carrying on. Rashford learnt off Pogba and so on and so forth. And so it follows on. Pity they didn't learn at the feet of somebody like Scholes or Keane. You know, the kind of players that also played in every round like Garnacho did. Didn't play in a final because they put the bodies on the line. I'm thinking of Keane more to the point. Was it against Juventus? You know, gets bad for the final, can't play in the final, but gets us there manfully. Fantastic. Doesn't moan about it, just gets on with it. Garnacho, moan. Oh, I'm not playing. And obviously he had his hair done really new and ready for it last night. He must have been gutted. That extra bottle of bleach he used, it must have killed him to spend all that money and not get a game in the end. Anyway, he was good when he came on. He looked like he was turning things around. He should have come on early. I'd have brought him after 60 minutes. Or even 45. I'd have probably started him. But I've been impressed with Mount the last couple of times he's played. But these things happen and sometimes we make wrong calls. But Garnacho's got to realise it's not all about him. It is about the team. Anyway, the game, how did I think it went? Well, this is what I thought of last night's game. I thought United last night, as a United fan, were absolutely crap. I thought United were crap. And I think they got beat by a team that was a hell of a lot worse than crap. Well, not a hell of a lot worse, but we were the better team. As your man's been saying, I think Cameron said we were the better team. We were. But at the end of the day, I think the stats said we had about 70% of possession. 70%. I think we had 4 good chances. We had lots of shots, but 4 good chances. And yes, Ruben's bemoaning the fact that we can't put the ball in the net. I agree with him there. It's a big failing. It's been a failing all year. But when we've got 70% of the play, and for the last 20 minutes or so, we camped in their half, and we can only get maybe a shot or two shots on target, it's poor. There's no invention up the field at all, and there's no finishing off right at the top end. No finishing off at all. There's nobody there you can hang your hat on. Now, we started with Højlund, and there were rumours a couple of days ago that Højlund wasn't going to get a start. It's difficult because he's not got another centre forward. Old Obi is cup-tied, he can't play in it, his name wasn't released. So you've got Xerxes, who was coming back from a lengthy injury. He came on but only did 20 minutes, I'm sure he couldn't have done 90. You've got Mount, who could play up there, but he's not a centre forward. You've got Bruno, who could play up there, but he's not a centre forward. On reflection, now the dust has settled and he's not a centre forward at all, I think what I probably would have done is not started with Højlund, and if he wasn't picking Garnacho on a wing, I'd have put probably Garnacho up there. He won't get physical like Højlund tried to do, he won't try and knock him off the ball, but if you knock any balls through or over the top, he's racing onto him. As well as that, he finds shots out of nothing. He's often described as greedy and can be greedy, and his finishing isn't brilliant, or isn't always brilliant, but he'll get lots of shots off and he might make the goalkeeper work. Højlund got none off, really. Was it one header, I think, and a half a shot? It wasn't really a shot, was it, if memory serves? I'd have probably started with Garnacho there if you're not going to start with him on the wing. That's probably what I would have done. Was he happy that he started Diallo over Garnacho? Yes, I was. Diallo would always be first for me, but I would have probably found a space for Garnacho. And Højlund's just not been doing it, and he's lacked confidence. So that, for me, was a bit disappointing. The team wasn't bad, but wasn't brilliant. Casemiro, you're always worried about him because he's got absolutely no legs. They've got a little bit more pace through the middle. But it was just poor. We've had 70% of the play, and we made about 4 chances in 95, 97, 98 minutes. It's really, really, really poor. Yeah, we didn't finish any off, but we just didn't make enough chances. And that, for me, is what's critical in it. I marked him myself. I just thought, I'll do an exercise, and what do I mark him as? I've got this. I mean, this was my thoughts on the night, to be honest with you. I thought to myself, Bruno's had a bad game. Casemiro's had a worse game. Luke Shaw's had an absolutely shocking game. A shocking game. He made one really good block. I think that's all he did. One really good block. I don't think it's just a case of not being 100% fit. I know he's only just come back. Fitness doesn't mean that every pass you're going to do is misplaced or short of pace. His passing was shocking. It was really poor. He gave 2 or 3 hospital passes to teammates. He really did. It was poor. I marked him like this. I think I had a Nana at 4. Now, many say, well, he didn't do a lot wrong, and maybe he never. But the times that he was indecisive and not wanting to come for the ball, I think he did one good punch out and one half a save, and that's all he did the whole game. But he looked so indecisive to me. There was times he should have been coming claiming the ball and he wasn't there. And he had a couple of defenders on a couple of occasions having a pop at him. And I'm thinking, rightly so. We're shaky as it is at the back, but it's in the men. It's because of Onana. He's not a good enough goalkeeper, but he's also now suffering from confidence or lack of. And because of that, he's here, there and everywhere when he should know where he's at and know what he's doing. He was poor for me. Euro, I'd give him probably a 7. I thought he played pretty well. A couple of shaky moments in, but I thought he played pretty well. Took the ball out well. Did reasonably well in attack. Was always looking to move the ball forwards rather than sideways. Thought he did pretty well. Maguire, give him another 7. I thought he did pretty well. One of the best players of the year. Thought he played well. Shaw, I'd give him a 3. I think he was that poor. Dargu, it's funny, Dargu. The son-in-law to be said to me only about a week ago, and this Dargu, they've got him, he's crap. I said, I think he's alright. He ain't half got an engine. He's up and down that pitch like nobody's business. That's the kind of player that your manager wants. He wants someone with an engine. I said, he attacks pretty well. He defends pretty well. He's pretty hard to get past. He's pretty pacey. I said, his end product, sometimes his crossing isn't great. It can sharpen up. But he's still only a young kid, playing in probably the hardest league in the world. And again, a couple of his crosses last night found nobody. But a couple were crackers. I thought on the whole he had a pretty good game. Mazraoui, 5.5 to 6 maybe. 5.5 maybe. I'm probably being a bit generous on a 6 to be honest with you there. Mount, a 6. I thought he did some decent things in the first half. He has got a football brain there and his last couple of outings impressed me. Not as much so last night, and he didn't really get into it. He faded after that, the first half an hour, but he didn't do anything wrong really from what I could see. Fernandes, old Bruno, a 5. I thought he was poor. Second half, some of his passing was really poor. In fact, it was through both halves, but especially the first 20 minutes of second half, he gave a lot of ball away. Diallo, an 8. I think he was our only real shining light. I think he had a good game. Last 20 minutes maybe didn't see as much of the ball, but he was going at him. He was the only person taking the fight to Spurs for my money. And I just like him as a player. I think he's wholehearted. Won lots of free kicks. Challenged for most everything. Thought he had a good game. Højlund, 4.5 to 5. 4.5. 5 for effort. Probably 4.5 really if you could have points. Just not good enough. And then Casemiro, another 5. Didn't do anything massively wrong as he has in the past. Although he gave a few passes away yet again. But didn't do anything really, really, really right. And that was about it. And then I thought Garnacho, although he was only on a short time of 7, and Xerxes only on a very, very short time of 6. Because straight away Xerxes looked like he had something about him, and Nitti played together 2 or 3 times, which Højlund wasn't doing. But I looked at him last night and I thought to myself, how poor is this? How poor is this? All this ball, all this possession, and we can't get shots on target. All this ball and all this possession, and we can't create chances. And then I looked at my centre forward yet again and I think, the best in the world can create something out of nothing. He isn't the best in class. He's not anywhere near the best in class. I heard a stat a week ago. I might have mentioned it the other day. I think, as of a week and a half ago, there's 70 players in the Premier League that have scored more goals in the Premier League than Højlund. 70. When you consider there's only 20 teams there, so there's 19 other than ourselves, 70 players have scored more goals than Højlund, and he's our number 9. When we've had some great centre-forwards, it's just shocking, it really is. I thought also last night, I said to the lad, I said, you know what, we paid about 70 mil for Højlund. Did we pay about 30 for Xerxes? There's 100 mil. We might have had to, because we're British, have gone to 120 for Harry Kane. I said, but wouldn't you rather pay an extra 50 mil on top of Højlund and not get Xerxes or Højlund and get Kane? Imagine how Kane would have done for the last year or 2 at United. They'd have done fantastically. Even though we don't create a lot and we've been poor and we are poor, he can create from himself. He can score from nothing. He's that good and that classy. He demands the ball and players play for him. They look up to him and respect him. I think they just create more chances for him than they have for Højlund. There's no special loving for Højlund there. There's nobody that seems really, really concerned about the fact that he's getting very, very little ball. I think the players would perform better in and around Kane. They should have got Kane. But last night, just poor. I think we were bad. They were worse. We created a bit more than them. I thought they looked very nervy in the first 20 minutes or so. Very nervy as a team. We just didn't perform. And you look at it, and I think they said on TalkSport this morning, I think old Simon said they've now hit the bottom, they've hit an all-time low. Funnily, I said that to Mill, I don't weigh on last night. I said, this is as low as they go. I said, I remember them going down in the 70s at 2nd Division, as was then. I said, and we weren't as bad then. It was an older squad, but it had better players. They did fight. There was some fight there. I said, they played some good football, although they went down. They might have gone down, but they played some good football. They still scored a lot of goals for all they went down. They still had players that could put the ball in the net. We've got nobody at our place now that can put the ball in the net. It really is poor. And for me, the biggest concern last night with not winning that is we may now not get the boy from Sporting. We may not have been getting him anyway. But some things I was in over the last 2 or 3 days made me think we were in with a big, big chance again. We still may get him, but it's unlikely we're not having Europe. I just hold on to the hope that nobody else other than Arsenal wants him. And I still do believe that Arsenal would rather have the Newcastle boy over him. And as I say, if he realises that, he might think, well, if they don't want me as the number 1, but I'm not the number 1 choice, go on then, I'll go back to my old boss. Because I think he will help fire us to something better next year, I really, really do. The lap may do okay, but I think it's just a little bit of a step up on Højlund. I think the boy from Sporting, for all he's not played in the big league here, I think he's a massive step up on Højlund from what I've seen, what I've read, what I've heard. I really do. But last night, just disappointing. Tottenham, well done Tottenham. Weirdly, I'm pleased for the manager, old Ange there. That doesn't mean say I wanted us to lose. I didn't. Don't worry about that. I'm as united as you can get, but I'm not massively biased and blind like most football fans. And I can see both pictures, both camps, both teams. I'm pretty pleased for Ange, but I would much rather us have had the win. I think we needed it. I think we really needed it. But there's hope. There's hope. Because after the Spurs, what should they do next? I've got the United one, and I've got a plan. I've got a plan, a bit like Baldrick. No one will listen to it, but I've got a plan all the same. I think we could be okay. No, we probably won't be.